Welcome to Writers Are the Best Weirdos, the podcast starring me, Julia Roberts. I am a creativity coach, speaker, writer, and a weirdo. Aren't you? We're going to answer a lot of questions about pubbing and promoting and marketing your books, so stay tuned. Hi, everyone. You are in on our podcast, and I'm hosting today Roben-Marie Smith, whom I met because she taught me about Instagram in a way that simplified it, made it seem doable, and made me feel like so grateful that to have been in that position to learn from her instead of just, well, usually my daughter who keeps going like, can't you get it? What's wrong with you? I am not in my 20s, in case that's not obvious. But let me tell you a little bit about who Robin is, and then we'll say hello to her. So Roben-Marie is a mixed media artist living in Florida. As an artist, blogger, and woman of faith, her mission is to serve others, helping them to think big and create courageously. She teaches aspiring artists through her blog and online in-person courses, both nationally and abroad. Her art has been featured in countless books and magazines. She loves to read, bake, travel, and has a heart for mission work. So we have a dear person in our midst. Roben-Marie, welcome to The World Will Love You.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to this. You have a really interesting topic in mind for writers in particular. And I will say, writers are artists, but we're not visual artists. So there's a little bit of a disconnect for like, especially like Instagram or Pinterest. We don't quite know how to go there because it seems so visual. And we just want to write a paragraph.
Right. No, I get it. I understand. Yes. And I'm the opposite. I would rather do the images and not write anything because that's where I'm like, that's not my strength, you know? So yeah.
I feel like we're fish out of water and we get to talk to a fish. And it helps. It really is going to help. Yeah. So so tell us a little bit what you're thinking about and what you think writers really should know to approach Instagram.
Yeah, I think that one of the things is you already have content. I think that a lot of times, no matter who you are and what field you're in, you're thinking you have to come up with these things on the fly. You have to come up with them on, just like, just scratch, just create a blank document and try to work on captions. And that's not true. You already have a lot of things that you've already written or things that you've already created that you can pull from. And that makes it a lot easier. And I think having a strategy behind that and also keeping track of those things in a way that you can tap into them again. Because here's the thing, just because you posted something on Instagram 3 or 4 months ago, doesn't mean you can't post it again. If it's something that's relevant, think about, there's people that never saw it. And as your following grows, there'll be more and more people following you. They won't see everything you post. I mean, we never see everything from the people we follow. So having that and being able to repurpose those, even the things you've already posted, is of value to you.
So do you just repost it cold or do you add a different caption or how do you go about it?
Yeah, and it depends on what you're posting. For instance, I'm often posting images of my art or my art studio or things like that. So that may not change, but the caption may be updated a little bit. And I might end up giving a little bit more information that's more current. But if you're doing something, for instance, maybe as a writer, you've created a blog post that has, maybe it's 5 or 10 tips on something or an area that you're an expert in. Those things that you're giving in that, say, that blog post that are, tip 1, 2, whatever, those don't change. Those stay the same. And I've done posts before about Instagram and other things where I've given tips on whatever that topic is. Well, if I were to post that again, those tips don't change. They're still valuable and they're still relevant. So it depends. You could change the image if you wanted, but then your caption could remain the same.
So speaking of, like, if you wrote something that was 5 tips or 5 ideas or something, would you post those as 5 different things?
Yes, absolutely. I would do what I would call a series. And so what I would do is, let's say, for instance, it would be maybe a topic where you're giving, I'm trying to think from a writer's standpoint what that might be, but I know Instagram because I talk about that a lot. So maybe it's 5 ways artists can share their art on Instagram, something like that. And I have 5 tips, right? And I've done a blog post on it. So all I've done is gone and pulled the content from those blog posts. Now I'll add my hashtags and things, but what I'll do is I'll open with, I'm going to be sharing over the next few days or several days tips for this. And then I will give them the first tip. And then I generally will ask them a question or give them something that will get them to respond back to you, because then that helps the engagement on that post. So maybe it would be, how might you use this tip? Give me an example, or just something like that. And then stay tuned tomorrow where I'll share tip 2. And then when I post it, it'll be tip 2 of 5 or tip 2 of 10 or whatever. So it really does act like a series. And then you can also share it in your stories as well, so that you are using.
So I'm just going to go with, like if I was doing a fiction book, I might have a cast of characters.
Yeah.
And I'd say, stay tuned. I'm gonna profile my 8 characters. And then I would say 1 of 8, 2 of 8. And then I would I don't know what graphic I would use, because I don't have it. I have a character in my mind. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, what about something, it doesn't always have to be a graphic as in a picture, or it could be something that you actually, it could be text. So let's say, for instance, maybe, I'm trying to think, like quotes maybe work well for this, like you might pull out of your book, or maybe it's, you're giving your commentary or behind the scenes of your insight as the author.
But even a quote is great. If you just, my book has a character, Bethy. If you just said Bethy quote of the day and gave her whatever, and just had a typeface for her maybe, and then did a different one for the Ken quote of the day, who's my antagonist, or the Mercy quote of the day, who's like their triangular. She's the tricker. She goes with this guy or that guy. So you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. And I think you can Insta about things that you're writing. Does that seem true, or should you wait till it's published?
Well, not necessarily, because your people want to get a sense of the behind the scenes and how things come. It's like with creatives, like artists, we call it work in progress. So it's what we call our WIP. And so we're just showing glimpses and hints of it. So other ways to actually share and promote what you're doing is also to share, maybe you do a screenshot of your however you do your writing, and you don't have to have everything zoomed in where they can read it all, but it could be working on chapter 3 of my next novel. Here we're going to, Beth is whatever that idea is, just be a little bit where you're showing that progress, and maybe really kind of get them into maybe being interested in, because I know that there's authors I follow and I can't wait for their next book to come out, because I'm following a series of the same characters. And so maybe it's so-and-so, oh, guess what she's going to be doing, and whatever. And then you give little hints of that, and it's like, oh, okay, what's getting ready to happen?
Oh, so if you're writing a series, I can totally see it. Yeah. If you were, and there are romance and mysteries that have the same character. The joke in our house used to be, don't invite Angela Lansbury to your wedding if you don't want a death. Everywhere there was a murder. Don't have her come to your hometown.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
But yes, I can totally see that. So I think we get a little put off by the graphicness of it. But the other thing I can really see doing is basically being the face of your Insta. So you don't have Bethy's face, or you don't have Ken's face, but you do have your own face of like, here, whatever it is that you're gonna, just pictures of yourself writing or out or thinking.
It could be your hands, it could be you on your laptop in the coffee shop, it could be have somebody else take the photos of you while you're writing or creating, where you're not looking at the camera. You can get really creative with those shots. And if you're an author who, you are the face of what you do, and if you're not using a pen name where people don't know who you really are, then that's a great way for them to connect with you.
You really are the face,
to be in front of them, sharing your excitement for what is coming. And it doesn't always have to be you smiling at the camera. It can literally be those candid shots. It could be, maybe you
credibility shots. You at a writer's conference with so-and-so.
Exactly.
So
you get inspired by taking walks. Show your feet while you're walking. Do a video. It could be a quick clip. I'm exploring the next character, so-and-so, and whatever. So it's just, you're creative if you're a writer, so you can do this.
This is exactly the thing that people seem to forget, that they are creative, because there's such resistance to it that they don't bring their creativity into play. You know what I'm saying? They just are like, the answer is no. So,
No,
when your brain's bugging
anything
you
you're
to do
first
something.
starting can be difficult. I remember when I had a very good friend coach who said, you have to be in front of the camera more. People need to see your face. They need to see more than your hands. They need to see more than just, and it was just, no. But then once you do it and you're making those connections and you really are benefiting from it, and I like it now. I don't have any problem with it now. It's just the scary part of getting started. That's,
Okay, and getting a habit going. So what if we did like, if in the beginning we did one Insta post a week? Does that
that's
seem reasonable?
very reasonable, and maybe shoot for 3 if you can do that.
But I mean,
But
just it was like if you were just trying to bite off a small thing,
sure, yeah. Hmm.
why not just, or just do something consistently, I think is really more important than.
Well, and there's different ways of looking at this too, because you have your Instagram feed, which is where you post your posts and you put captions on them, and then people follow you, and then they will hopefully see those posts. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, the
Instagram.
algorithm's a whole other thing, right?
Other thing is your stories. Now, the stories are the videos that you post. They're usually 15 seconds and they're there for 24 hours and then they're gone. So that is different because those are the people that follow you. Those are the people that see your stories. Anyone can type in your name and find your feed if it's not private, which we're talking about public feeds here, not private, because then no one can find you and figure out what you do. But the stories you could do, they're less polished, they're less planned, they're just on the moment. Like yesterday, I was doing some creativity and planning, watching the football game, and I just snapped a photo of the couch where I was working and just put a note saying, playoffs and art, or something I wrote. And so that's a quick thing. You don't have to worry about a caption. You don't have to worry about hashtags. You just post it. And then you kind of get into a habit of that. It could be the sunrise if it comes up behind your house. It could be the view from the window where you write. Post that once
It
a
can even
week.
be negative things. When you say sunrise, I think of like, I have a sun coming in here every day at 3 till 3:30. So it's when I walk the dog because I can't work,
I gotcha.
So even just that, if you just like said, the sun getting in the way of my computer screen,
Exactly. Yeah, in
but
your space where you create, like I can see the space behind you. These things, people want to know these things because they're wanting to know more about you.
yeah, I think that's the hard thing to own, that you want it to be your book that sells the book,
Sure.
but it is always you.
Yeah, well, you're the author.
You are the ideas, you are the book.
When people go to a book signing or a book reading, they're not going there to listen to it recorded. They want to see the person. They want to meet that person. And there's that connection.
You had mentioned something, I guess I saw it on your blog post, Planoly for these social media things.
Yes,
So that if I did 8 in a day one time, I could parse them out.
Schedule them. Yes, you can. Yes, you can use social media schedulers, and there's a bunch of them out there. I use one called Planoly, just my preference. I've used several of them and tested them out. Basically, and you can use that one for free, and it gives you the ability to, is like, for instance, if I'm in the studio creating and I'm taking a bunch of photos, I'll upload them immediately into Planoly. That way they're in there, and then when I'm ready to go back to them and write the captions and get them ready, I can do that, and I don't have to go find them back on my camera. And then I can write them and save them and schedule them for when I want them to be posted. And it does make it easier the more that you're posting. If you're only doing one a week, that's pretty doable. But as you start doing more, that really can help you and take some of that stress off, especially if you're like, this is stressful, trying to schedule and do all that. That can be of help to minimize that.
So would it also be where I might get something from 2 months ago to repurpose, or no? Doesn't store them.
I have a tip for that. This is what I do. And I wanted to share this because it doesn't store what you've posted. You can see what you've posted up to, I think there's so many days. I mean, you can always go back into your Instagram account and see what you posted, but this is what I do. This is what I have used for years, and it works for me, Julia. And if you have somebody that can help you, or if you have time to do this on your own, it can really be a benefit, I promise, is to create a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, you create, I do it by date. I put the caption in there. I put the hashtags in there. And if there's an image, I upload the image. And so I can always go back to this database, this spreadsheet, and say, all right, 6 months ago, I posted that, and that was the topic. I can repost that again. I can grab the content right from there and go post it. I don't have to go searching through my Instagram, reading all the captions to find one. They're already organized in a spreadsheet that I can tap into, or a Google Doc, or whatever works. But that way, the relevant things that I talked about earlier that you could post at any time and it's still going to be of value, those are the things you put in that spreadsheet or that Google Doc that you can tap into. And then you just copy it and repaste it. And if you want to update it a little bit, you can. So that's what I recommend doing.
I got nervous as soon as you said spreadsheet.
I have a little bit of a tech, I'm a left brain and right brain, so I kind of love the tech, even though I know I don't want to design spreadsheets, but I love putting stuff in them to keep me organized. So yeah.
So I mean, I don't need to talk for everybody. I'm sure plenty of people are going, "Oh, that's great."
All right, just a Google Doc, that works too.
Google Doc, I tell you, I calm down when you say Google Doc.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, all it's terrible. It's terrible when you just have these limitations or these resistances in your brain that's so hard to get past. I think that was a really good tip.
It's worked great for me, and I've been able to just go back and say, I need a post for this week or this day. What have I talked about that has to do with this topic? Oh, that's a good one. Let's go post that. And I don't have to go digging for them because they're already organized for me. So yeah.
I'm just keeping it honest here. But I do know that there's plenty of writers who are really into that complexity. And, I just happen to be a non-clarifier by nature. So I like ideas, and I like them to stay sort of ephemeral and interesting and exciting. I don't want to nail them down right away, so it is interesting that I respond that way. You clearly are a good clarifier. You like to have things organized and answered and prepared and things like that. I'm a real jump in. I really, I sort of thrive when there's chaos because other people panic. So all I'm saying is that like our creative styles are opposite. So you have really cool ideas and it'll definitely land with about a quarter of, of the people meaning clarifiers, right? I don't actually know if those don't really meet out as equally as that. Like there's 1/4 are clarifiers, 1/4 are ideators, 1/4 are structurists, and 1/4 are finishers. That's not really the way it works out. But anyway, those are the four thinking styles that you clearly have a good clarifying brain, and I have a really good ideation brain.
Well, and we're all different. So it's what works for you. What didn't work for me was trying to spend 30 minutes going back through Instagram to find a post that I could reuse again. And that frustrated me because I wasn't organized, but having it where I could tap into it was like, okay, there, boom, boom, I got it and I'm good to go. So it's figuring out, knowing yourself and how you best work. If you want to just do a running document or don't do it at all, just post. And then everything is just completely on the fly. But that said, there's still good stuff that you're posting that you could reuse later when you do need.
I mean, if it doesn't frustrate you to go through the 30 minutes, it might stifle you just from a time point of view. I don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
And then I don't post. Then you don't post. Yeah. I know you had a very cool blog post on building an email list. And that is something that every writer should be doing as they write, even if it's going to take them 3 years to write, another half year with the agent and 2 years with the publisher. They should be building an email list that whole time. If there was anything I wish somebody had said to me earlier, it's get that email list going. So how do you do that? Or what do you think people have to do that?
Well, I mean, the first thing that you need to do, well, there's several things, but you need to have the means to email. So you need to have an email marketing platform that you're using, whether you choose a free platform or a paid platform, you need to have something in place. We're not talking about sending out emails where you type everyone's email into an email and then send it out. This is literally capturing emails and then having system in place to where that you can then send out a regular email to them or whatever that looks like. So there is some tech complexity to this and setting that up.
You know what I mean about her? You really have a very thorough approach. I just love it. So go ahead. Like MailChimp people use
Yep, there's
Constant
ConvertKit, there's
Contact,
MailerLite,
ConvertKit,
yeah, Flowdesk. There's
MailerLite.
a bunch of them out there. It's,
Mhm.
really finding what works for you. And there's a couple of ways. What I recommend, and this is what I do, is generally you, especially in this day and time, it used to be, 5, 10 years ago, just give me your email list and then I'll send you emails and people just gave them to you. But now it's like there's got to be a reason why I want to sign up to be on your list.
Right.
And generally it's going to be, you have something free that you're giving me. And here's a great example. And I don't know how this works technically, but I started a new series. And then after I finished the book in my Kindle, it had a thing where it could say, well, sign up to be on our list and we'll send you an alternate ending to this story. And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, I want
Oh,
that.
cool.
And so then I signed up and then I got the email and now I'm on the list. So I'll be notified when there's a new book in the series or another book by the author. And I just love it. And there was another series where they actually let me in. You got access to a website page that had visual pictures of what that book would look like if it was a picture book. Like, here's what that place looks like that we talked about in this book. Like, it was a visual. So in my mind, I got to say, yeah, I kind of visualized this place look like this. It was in Scotland. So it was kind of like, yeah.
Wow.
But I signed up to be on the list to get the behind the scenes things. And so
Mhm.
if you can offer something that would be of interest to the people that are interested in you, it'll be easier for you to get their email and then
Extra
deliver.
chapter, extra
Yeah,
chapter.
it could be,
Um,
yeah, like, or something that others don't get, literally. Like, it's just, you get bonus content, you get, maybe, I don't know, I'm just saying, it could be something down the road where maybe you do a live chat with your audience and the only ones that get invited are the ones that have signed up to be on your list. And
mhm.
they get to ask you questions or, I mean, I'm not a writer, so I'm trying to throw some ideas out here,
Yeah,
but
I hear you. The podcast will be back in less than a minute. Hey, writers. Are your creative juices running low? Are you skipping writing sessions because you're so busy or because you're just tired? Well, there's an easy fix. Really? Try Mighty Write. Mighty Write gets you writing and keeps you writing. Ingredients include creativity, writing, coaching, community, and Zoom sessions. Side effects may include productivity, finished work, bragging, and stupid grins. Try Mighty Write. Seriously, click on the link for more info about the Mighty Writers Club. Be mighty! The Mighty Writers Club. Find us at go.decodingcreativity.com/mighty. I mean, so like you can creatively come up with something that you'd like to deliver that is unique or see,
yep.
I have I write fiction, but I have a business. So it's easier to do it for the business than it is really for fiction. But the fiction thing could be just even if you happen to have a character Bible, you could just do a page of your character Bible.
Yeah.
Yes, especially if it were a series and they've already read a little bit of so-and-so's undertaking.
Yeah.
Or
And
if you, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm just, there's so many
Or if
ideas.
you just have things that you have personally already accumulated, like how to put your book out for awards, where you can speak writers conferences, anything that you've just personally already researched for your own use, you can make that a freebie for
Absolutely. Like,
other
it could be a
people.
tip sheet. It could be a tip sheet, a checklist.
Checklist.
Maybe these are other, maybe, and I don't know if some of these writers, their audience are other writers or if they're literally the public reading their book. So
Usually,
you got to,
yeah, usually it's the public.
the
Yeah, I'm
public.
focused on writers, so that's where my head goes, but you're right.
Yeah, but I mean, think about the thing that, again, this is repurposing things you already have. So if
Yeah,
you've
it
already
is.
done the research on something, then how can you repurpose that in a way that you could offer that and say, well, people, if it were me and somebody was offering that, I'd sign up for it. That's what you want. Then what you want to do is you want to have, obviously through this system, a way to deliver that to them. And then you need to email them regularly. Don't have them on your list and then you don't email them for 6 months until you have something you're selling. It needs to be an interactive relationship. Not saying you have to do it every week, but you need to be,
But even if it were every other week, or you skipped a week here and there, but you
yeah,
just
that's
start
totally
talking
fine.
with them, you're literally
Yeah,
like, it's a real
yeah,
community. You're literally
it
like
really
saying,
is. Yeah.
oh, I'm having a tough week, or I'm having a great week, or you
Yeah.
can't believe who I met, or just any of those normal
Exactly.
things.
It's
Right.
personal, and that's important. And that's where, and I struggle the most with those emails because I don't feel that I'm a natural writer. I'd love to share when I have a story to tell. That's when it's easy because I can relate that. So these writers, y'all have great content and great ideas, and putting that in your emails. You got inspiration from what, a trip to Starbucks. What did that look like? And how did this come about? Those are the things that your audience is going to want, that behind the scenes, or share a photo of your writing space. You don't have to put that on social, or maybe you do, and it's in your email, and maybe you got I don't know, something just.
It's interesting because I just watched a movie this weekend, and the big transition was like this was going on and it was horrifying, and we didn't know what in the end what happened. It was just like this big blowout of, and then it rained in LA for a serious scene. And then we saw the next, it was just a transition. But
Right.
rain is so emotional. And that gave me, I mean, I wrote down in my book, rain scene in my book. Rain scene in LA. So what I'm saying is just you could share that little minute with anybody and just say, oh, I got this idea. And guess what? It would save your idea better because I put that in my daily book. It's gone. I'll never,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That idea may or may not ever come to me when
Sure.
I'm actually writing.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think too, one of the misconceptions is that it has to be long. People don't have time to read long emails. I open an email, and if it's really long, I don't even read it. There's too many people that I'm interested in hearing about and what they're doing. I don't have time. Give me a snippet and a blurb and relate it to me, give me a tip or whatever, and that's good. We have
Mine are
such
always
short
long.
attention spans right now. Think about it. I mean, a story is 15 seconds on Instagram. We're not going to read for 20 minutes an email. I know
I
writers
know.
are wanting to
Writers
do
do
that.
read, but I'm hearing you. I'm thinking it through. I'm thinking it through.
Yeah.
Taking in the information. I write long emails usually because you want to make sure everything's there. Some people
Yep.
want all the information. Some people want just
Yes.
three bolds and
Bullet points. Bullet
I
points
mean, yeah,
are
if you can get
break
the
it up.
whole thing in like 3 bold
Yep.
headings,
Yes.
that's what some
Break it
people
up.
will do, and others will read everything in between. Right.
Yep. Break it up and then do a recap or a summary at the bottom in case people scroll all the way to the bottom. Say, oh, you like to scroll to the bottom that fast? Here's a recap. Here's a synopsis of what I just said in like 2 sentences, because there will be people who will do that. I'm one of those people. And again, everyone's different, but when I go to buy a greeting card, when I open the greeting card, first thing I do is if there's text on the left side, I put it back in and I find another one. I don't want anything that has text on the front, the inside, and then all the spaces. But that's just me. So,
Yeah,
everybody,
I'm just curious how people feel. I don't like text on the left anyway because then we're just going to get cheesy too.
it's just too
You know what I
much
mean?
to do.
It's also just it gives the writer too much opportunity to just get cheesy, or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean. I think I'm allergic to deep, but like I
I think
want that card to be just a greeting. I don't really. I
that's
understand what
me.
you're saying.
That's
If it was
me.
stuff on the
A little
left,
bit
I'm
on the
just like,
front and just on there. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I'm like I said, I'm kind of allergic to deep. I don't think that you're going to be deep in the same way I would want to be deep. This much copy means that you're telling me something heavy, deep, and real, and I don't think I'm buying in. So you're right. I would close it up. But I didn't sign up for that writer's greeting cards either. You know what I mean?
This is
That
true.
that does imply that I don't care about what they're saying.
That's true.
Whereas if I signed up, can you imagine if you could sign up for a certain writer's greeting cards?
Yeah, that'd be pretty
That'd
awesome,
be
wouldn't
interesting, wouldn't it?
it? Actually, what would be even better is if you just said, I need a greeting card and here's what I wanted to say in your voice because you were awesome. Could you just whip me out a birthday card or an anniversary card?
So do you remember Evite was a little bit, not Evite, wasn't there? Oh, send out cards, or there was a thing of that.
Oh, I
Where
would
you could
doubt it.
basically
Yeah.
create you could pick this. You
Oh,
could
I
do that
like
on
that.
Canva.
Kind of like build your own card. I love that.
But in
Yeah,
this case, it would print it out and mail it for you, I think.
sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
nice.
never used it, so I don't
Yeah,
really know. And it
yeah.
could still exist. So, so let's say they they get my freebie. I get their email, they take my freebie, they're in
Mhm.
love with me, and I'm writing to them once a week. And maybe I have 100, now I'm up to 1,000, whatever. Um, you talked about a welcoming sequence. Is that, what is that?
Yeah, a welcome sequence. They're called different things in the industry, but basically what it is when someone signs up, they get that freebie. And then what I do is I put them into an automation or a sequence of emails, basically. And usually it's like 2 to 3 emails. And basically in that email, it's a set email. Everybody comes in, gets those same emails, and it's introducing myself to them because they might not really know who I am. So it's introducing myself on a personal level. Here's, some information about me. Here's some links to some things I think you might like that are on my blog, this article, this tutorial. So you're giving them more value as they've come into your list, and they're getting to know you, so that once they're finished with that, they've got a good idea of like, okay, I kind of got a good idea of who she is. Then they get tagged to where they go into my regular email newsletter that I send out on a regular basis. So once they go through that and get those few emails, usually those emails go out within a week to week and a half, because you don't want to spread it out too far, because then they're like, who is this person exactly? People, when they sign up, you want to kind of do it quickly. So then they're in my regular emails and they already know who I am. So I don't have to send more information in those emails about who I am. They already know because they've already gotten that.
And they know more or less what you're writing or what kinds of things you think about or talk about.
Exactly. So it's just a little getting.
I love the idea of links. I almost wrote that down as if you're teaching me. I'm like, oh no, I'm the podcast host.
Yeah, that's important. So it'd be something like, okay, if you're a writer who has a blog, or you have a podcast, or you have some way for there to be really valuable content that's out there that you've created, link to that in those emails.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. It's just so simple.
While you're waiting for my next email, or I think you might be interested in this, here's the link to blah, blah, blah. And then send
even
them
just what post, 1, 2 posts, 3, whatever it is.
Yeah, don't overwhelm them with 15 links. Just, you can put another one in the next email, but I think it helps them, because think about, I know on my website, there's so much stuff. I've been blogging since 2004, I believe. So there's a lot of stuff out there. So to have somebody zero in on something, they might not know where to go. So I'm helping them to say, hey, here's my latest thing. I think you might be interested in this. Click on over to it. And I update that from time to time in that welcome sequence, because as new things come out that I've created, I want those things to be current as well. So,
or if you have elemental ones, like if you have one that's about what you're writing right now, it can stick in there.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to update it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess to sum up, and you can jump in anytime you want, but we're looking at Instagram maybe 1 to 3 times a week. And the idea there would be to pick up something you've already written and we can use text as long as it's sort of graphically texted. Does that, like in Canva or something?
Absolutely. But also keep in mind, there's also those images that would be of your process, as you working, you creating. It could just be your hands. It could just be your laptop. It could just be a space in your writing area. It could be the view outside your window. If you wrote a list in a Google Doc, not a spreadsheet, of all the ideas, or your notebook.
If you ideated these, if you went through and got these ideas, it would become, you wouldn't have to think of it on the fly.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of taking 15 pictures and just putting them up in Planoly or whatever you're using, so that don't when I go in there,
I need a photo. Write out all the potential photos that could be conceivably used. It could be a number.
But you just take them on your camera, right?
All, and then
just on your phone, right? You just don't,
Absolutely. And then they're ready. And then you've got all of those, so that maybe you take, I don't know, 15 to 20 pictures. And if you're doing 1 to 2 a week, that's months of content right there of images. Because
and inspiration, it's a prompt in essence. And we're all used to prompts.
Exactly.
And then so to me, that idea of just inhabiting your Insta personally and your writing and that's the thing I think that gets lost on people. They think it has to be words. They think it can't be words because that's against the rules. So the idea of inhabiting, like my own picture of myself, if I took a picture right now of
you should. It's behind the scenes of this podcast.
It's like, so if I took a picture of you and me doing this, I would have that and, put it up on, not that I couldn't capture this, but you see what I'm just saying, in your real life, you'll start to feel like, oh, this could be Insta. This could be Insta.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
And the
we're
other
talking
thing,
about, I'm sorry, then we're
oh,
talking
one
about
more
having that
idea.
freebie
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I got one more
or,
idea about the photos
oh,
is
sure, sorry.
it can be quotes, it can be things like words, but the other thing that, and I was touched on this when I signed up for that one author that I can't remember who it was, but they did the behind the scene images, but I had to
Mhm.
sign up to be on their list. Well, I would find that super interesting if the author was on Instagram and they were posting, here's what that, location looked like. It doesn't even have to be real. It could just be a photo that they took
Sure.
somewhere or
Yeah,
a
my book,
star.
I mean, every book takes place somewhere. You can
Exactly.
always Google pictures of Nebraska or pictures of
Exactly.
LA. Yes. I
Exactly.
mean, I could have done a whole Insta series on creating this backdrop
Yes.
because what happened is I was on a podcast, he had a great backdrop and I felt like bad. So me and my daughter put up a backdrop,
There you go. There you
So I
go.
mean, that could have been a long series that people would be,
Absolutely.
interested in doing.
It could have been little video snippets of you doing it. There's so many possibilities if you really,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
if you're one of those that's just like, I just don't know, go on Instagram, find some writers and see what others are doing. Don't duplicate it, but go, you know what? That's kind of cool. I think I could do like you did the backdrop.
Or
Well,
duplicate it for goodness
what
sakes.
could you do to promote the backdrop while you're working on it?
Yeah, I mean, there's only
There you
21
go.
plots, there's only 21 Instagram posts, most likely, in the same sort of way. You're just making it your own, but we all, steal like an artist,
Yeah.
that's,
No.
you take what you see and you turn it into yours.
Yep.
Well, I love this. I love that your approach is so thorough and that people can follow you. I'm often, if I present something, hands up in the audience going, okay, what? Sometimes, I mean, I've presented to engineers at times when I feel like they're an oil painting and I'm getting nothing back. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm sure they feel like I'm like a TV they can't get into focus. So,
That
but
is
in the end,
awesome.
there's still material that you're presenting that hopefully if you're connected enough,
Yeah. Mhm.
you're still communicating it ultimately in the way that audience needs to
Right,
hear
right. And
it.
it's got to work for you. And golly, don't make it hard for people to contact you. Make it easy for them to find you and reach out to you. That's key. I shouldn't have to dig around to try to find a way to send you an email or find you somewhere. Yeah.
So, I mean, people sometimes have a second email if they don't want it in their main email.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have a hello, Julia, if I just want to.
Yep.
Plus, it makes it easier for me to not lose that. Like if somebody's wanting to reach out to you, they probably have an opportunity that they would
Yeah.
like to share with you.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if you have them in a separate email, first of all, you're not giving out your email, which might bother you. But secondly, it
Right.
clusters them and to give that a priority treatment, to look
Exactly.
for those in a priority way.
You just talked about something that had to do with organizing.
Oh, I'm organized.
Right.
But just all here. When I and when I used to never even keep a to-do list. It was all here. If I got hit by a bus, no one knew what was going on. Not even
That's not
like times for people. What do you call that? Meetings. I never even wrote down a meeting. I just knew it was coming at 2, or I just knew. Now I don't have that good a memory as I used to. But
wow. So
so
impressed.
it just is what it is. My brain was like, your brain really shouldn't be used to store. Storage should be out of your brain and it should be eased up to ideate,
There you
create,
go. There you go. Mhm.
distill, process. Your brain should be freed up from the
Mhm.
list. Yeah. Anyway, I have loved talking with you. It's been so great. Where can people find you?
Roben-Marie.com is the easiest, and it's ROBENMARIE.com.
And it's all one. It's not hyphenated as your name
Nope,
is,
not
right?
hyphenated on my URL, just
Right.
one.
Roben-Marie.com. And I'm going to tell you, it is a visual delight,
Oh,
Roben-Marie.com.
thank
Really
you.
is. I just love, and I really love how your stuff's laid out in little vignettes, so I can find what works for me very easily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really well laid out blog, so I love that a lot. And there's a lot of good information in it. I mean, even just what we covered today could easily be 4 blogs. Couldn't it? I mean, talking about
Yeah.
repurposing, I'm not even saying
Oh,
that
absolutely. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so there's a lot of really great information and really cleanly laid out, so there's such value in how you present in the world. And that's why I wanted you to be on today and why I
Well,
love
thank you. I
talking with you.
appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks very much. Hey, thanks for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell your friends. What did you learn today? What was your takeaway? What are you going to do today? Put it in the comments. We all want to know. Meanwhile, get my book, Write Without the Fight. You want to master your creative process so you can write with more ease and satisfaction. The links are all in the description box. Join us, because writers are the best weirdos.